All right, everyone. How's it going? I am Joey Womack, founder, CEO of Goodie Nation, coming in for a special edition of Prequel, Origin Stories and Inflection Points. I have some good friends with me here today. They're going to talk about their journey to being entrepreneurs. These individuals are the recipients of the first ever Google for Startups Latino Founders Fund. I'm super excited to hear their journey. More importantly, for you to understand what makes them super awesome. The reason why origin stories are important is because we believe at Goodie Nation that relationships matter when it comes to business. And understanding their origin story, those monumental, though sometimes underrated moments, allows you to create a deeper connection to them and to understand how you can best support. So without further ado, let's get right to it. I'm going to bring everybody up. We're going to do some quick intros, and then we're going to get into their origin story. So first off, I want to kick it over to my good people in New York. Ariana, you're first up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ariana Abramson. I am located in New York, and I am the CEO and founder of Divisai Software. Divisai helps teams augment their behavior to reduce bias communication in the workplace. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Luis.
Hey everyone, I'm Luis Barrera. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Split, calling in from my Nolita Manhattan apartment. Split is peer-to-peer payments for groups of friends splitting restaurant bills.
Awesome sauce. Next up, we have Fernando.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I am Fernando, the CEO of Boxes. And at Boxes, we are combining physical and digital technology to democratize convenient, affordable, and sustainable retail. And I am calling from Houston, Texas.
Awesome sauce. Next up, we have Pedro. Oh, you're on mute.
Hey, sorry. My name is Pedro. I'm the CEO and founder of Navigate. We are democratizing access to acceleration, and I'm in Miami, Florida.
Awesome. And last but not least, we have Max.
Hi, everyone. My name is Max Echeverría, founder and CEO of eSquad, and we're providing a field data platform for field workers spread out in remote areas, mostly working in natural resources. I'm calling now from my home country, Chile, but we're headquartered in Portland, Maine.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's get right into these stories. Super excited to understand how they got to this point. So Ariana, I want to kick it off to you. Take a few minutes. Tell us about that journey that you took to getting to where you are today.
Yes, thank you, Joey. So I like to tell people where my roots started. And I was raised in Queens, New York, by a Puerto Rican mother who taught me to ask 1,000 whys and nurtured my love of STEM. However, when I started experiencing instances of bias and microaggressions at work and at school, I was not prepared for them. In fact, before Divisai even started, I struggled with questions though. Even though I'm brilliant, why do I feel that I don't belong in STEM? Is it because I'm a woman of color? We actually started Divisai in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. And during that time, many software engineers and folks of color in tech started openly talking about their experiences of bias, microaggression, and discrimination in the places that they work or in their educational journeys. And during that time was when I finally felt safe to start candidly talking about my experiences as an Afro-Latina woman in the data science field. And by sharing my story, it was shocking for me to uncover that issues around bias, communication, and exclusion in the workplace impact more than 54% of the IT industry and its employees. And like I said, I'm a STEM nerd and engineer at heart. So I began to dig a little deeper into the science of bias and microaggression, specifically in the way that we communicate. And looking at research from workplace psychologists that have documented that for years, new experiences of bias and microaggressions show up in more covert and indirect ways in the workplace. And in fact, some people have been talking about this for years in terms of microaggressions and code switching. And based off of my lived experiences and the lived experiences of Black and Latinx women in STEM, we can all attest to dealing with instances of ascriptions of intelligence, racial labeling, monolithic identification, feeling invisible in meetings, and also idea appropriation in the workplace. So myself and my co-founding team came together to build DiviSci with one vision, and it's to build a future where systemic exclusion of all kinds no longer exists. And we're doing this by building an AI model that shifts the way we leverage language, verbal cues, and communication to build equitable experiences in the workplace and within team interactions. And the way that DiviSci does that is by integrating with communication platforms, whether it be Google Meet, Zoom, or Slack, to collect verbal and written communication within teams. We then listen and provide everyone on the team with tangible feedback and goals around reaching inclusive and equitable translation, integrity, and courtesy in their daily communication. I like to tell people if DiviSci existed for me in my early stages, I would not have to question my existence as an Afro-Latina in STEM. So if you're interested in learning more and getting on the DiviSci train, definitely sign up for our email list and follow us on socials at DiviSci. We'll be kicking off a communication in the workplace challenge, and we would love for you all to join us as we work together to dismantle workplace bias and to hashtag stop the microaggressions.
Hashtag stop the microaggressions. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Cool, cool. Well, let's go to our next guest here. Luis, you want to kick it off and tell us how you got to this point?
Absolutely. I think it would be helpful to give a little context on my upbringing. I grew up moving between Peru and California about 5 times before I finally decided to stay in the US during high school. But in Peru, food and beautiful moments around the table are at the heart of our culture. They literally mean everything to us. So when I moved to New York, I hated seeing the frustrations that bill splitting brought to the table, especially during the pandemic when restaurants brought the only sense of normalcy to our lives. I hated seeing friends leave the table upset because they overpaid, or maybe even embarrassed because they couldn't afford to split the bill evenly, even though they said yes to not be a problem to everybody else. So I set out to create Split, and I gathered 2 technical co-founders, Elliot and Gibby, who are now some of my best friends. And we launched the first couple versions of Split, which sucked. They completely flopped, but now it's been used by over 13,000 people at over 3,000 restaurants across the US, and we're growing. But long-term, what Split's really about is making time with your friends easier, whether that's splitting the bill or some of our new products that are coming out and deciding where to dine. We just want to make it easier to be present and spend time with your friends. That's what my culture is all about, and we want to bring that to the world. So that's how we started. Oh, you're muted, Joey.
That is an embarrassing call out, but I truly appreciate it. How can people get in contact with you?
You can follow us at splitpay_ on Instagram. That's where we're most active. But you can also email me, luis@splitpay.com. Happy to get in contact with anyone who has questions or are interested at all.
Awesome. Man, that's awesome story. Awesome story. So next up, we have Fernando. Fernando, how did you get to where you are today, good sir?
Thank you, Joey. It's a great question. And it started very early. When I was a child, I grew up working in the vending machine business with my father. I remember that I was 7 years old, and after school, I used to go with my father to work with him. He was a great entrepreneur. So I decided to study business at university. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I managed to get a $2,000 grant from my university and set up our startup to develop our first prototype. So I invited some friends who were design engineer in Uruguay. I am from Uruguay. The startup started there. And from my bedroom, we were working for a year, developing our first prototype. It was a sampling device. Our goal was to get free samples, and we were developing a device where we can engage consumers on the go and collect data from consumers and also give free samples. So we developed our first prototype from my bedroom. I didn't have a garage. And after that, we were like another year trying to get our first partner because our first solution It was not a good development, let's say. So it was so tough, but we keep improving, we keep learning. And finally, we managed to get our first partner. Now we have deals with 10 CPG partners, multinational companies in Latin America. And last year, we wanted to go faster, to grow more. And we started to apply to accelerators here in the United States. And finally, we were accepted by Techstars. And last year, we were taking part in the program in Minneapolis. And we launched our first partnership in Minnesota. And here we are. We are scaling now and focusing our commercialization strategy in the US.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. So how can people get in contact with you all?
Yes, our webpage is boxesdevices.com.
Awesome. 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 So next up, we have my guy, Pedro. You know the drill, good sir. How'd you get here?
Hey, what's up, Joey? Hey, guys. Okay, perfect. So I'll go back a little further. I was an entrepreneur for a long time. I was sort of figuring things out on the go. I didn't come from a family that had that experience or that example. So I spent a lot of years figuring things out. My family's also Puerto Rican, and I can speak on behalf of, like, at least, you know, the Caribbean side. Like, so many people you meet from the Caribbean are hustlers, and they're building and they're trying to make things happen. But if you don't have these examples of how to build companies, you do what you can, right? So you figure out what you can. I managed to get an exit. I started a company in 2008. We managed to get an exit in 2016. It was about 9 years of me sort of learning what I didn't know. And I realized at the end, like, man, if I would have had somebody to give me some tips when I started, this exit would be 10 times bigger. This would be like what you read in the news of people selling companies for $100 million versus, like, you know, a small exit. I was thankful for the exit, and that was important, and it helped me to get to where I am today. But if I would have had someone to help me, I wouldn't gotten there faster, and it would have been a much bigger success. So that became my mission after that exit, is how do I help people? How do I help people kind of understand the world of venture capital, understand the world of scalability, and building what I like to call, like, legacy building startups that, you know, when you exit, it changes not just your life, but the life of, like, your entire family moving forward, which I think is how a lot of these, like, prominent people became wealthy today. Also, you know, we're very well aware of the fact that women get less than 2% of funding, people of color get less than 4% of funding. And a lot of that stems from the fact that, as the last person was mentioning, he applied to accelerators and finally got into a Techstars. So for us, Techstars, YC, they're amazing. That's like getting a full scholarship to Stanford or Harvard, right? But what happens is too many people don't get that acceptance, and then they just do nothing, or they try to figure it out on their own. So we're creating a program. It's also called an accelerator, but it's built to be way more accessible. And it's built so that even if you didn't get into Techstars or YC, you're not stuck waiting for that support that they provide, because that's the thing that I needed when I was 27 years old trying to build my last startup. It's kind of that passion that drives everything we're doing now. And it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Awesome. So how can the people get in contact with you?
They can go to navigateaccelerator.com. They can go to LinkedIn. I love getting messages and connections on LinkedIn. It's Pedro Sostre. I think I might be the only one, but if not, it's, you know, LinkedIn, whatever, /P Sostre. And I'd love to chat. I'm always doing pitch deck teardowns. We do a lot of open office hours to help people out, whether or not they decide to join, you know, an actual program.
Awesome. Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks for making the world more accessible for those trying to realize their dreams. So last up, we have Max. Max, what's the story there, good sir?
It's a long story. First of all, I was born and raised in the south of Chile. So it's a place where you have a lot of mountains, a lot of trees and forestry involved, agriculture and fisheries. So within that city, you're always surrounded by the people that we started helping, but that's the end of the story. When I was 10, I started coding. My dad worked in telecommunications, so I had access to internet service because he was trying it out, and I learned how to code at the age of 10. Then I studied industrial engineering. I wasn't like, yeah, I want to work in this. I wasn't like excited about working at any specific thing. And then a couple of classmates told me, hey, let's start this application in 2012, which failed, but they called me because I had a mix of skills that they liked. Like I have coding skills, and I also like knew how to manage teams because I've worked a lot since I was a teenager in different things. And then that's when we started as a company for the first time, and it failed. Then I did another. Then the second one worked well. We sold it a little exit also, similar to Pedro. And then I decided to start a program to help other founders at the university, which I sold later. And that gave me a lot of experience networking, and that's when I met the ecosystem in the US. And when I was doing that, at the same time, we decided to start eSquad, which is a field data platform, but it started as a product that can collect data in remote areas. And it was designed for the field workers that work in forestry, fishing, and all those stuff that I mentioned before. But when I was developing that with my team, at the same time I was working at Gearbox, the accelerator I created, and it was partnering with Georgia Tech with one of their programs. So that's why I figured out, hey, if the investors here in Chile don't want to risk an investment in our product at this moment, maybe the American ones would try, would give us a try, because the same problem exists there, and the same solution could be useful there. So we started applying to accelerators. That's when I met, by the way, I met Pedro, I met Joey. And then we got accepted into Techstars last year. First application to Techstars, we made it. The reason was because we targeted super specifically to a specific program that made sense to what we were trying to do. And I think that's what got us there. And now we're scaling, fundraising, and working, and we're happy to be participating in Google Founders Academy. People can contact us through our website, esquad.com, or like my last name is hard to pronounce for most Americans, but if you write it, you will find me. I'm the only one in LinkedIn with that specific last name only. There's also my dad, but
That's nice. Nah, that's awesome. This is amazing. This has been an absolute joy listening to all of you all's origin stories. You know, I hope just you all, the founders, get to know each other well, you know, over the next year and change. But also, if you're out there listening to the world, again, look for commonalities in your story. No matter where you come from in the world, I think we all share some common things, right? And so I heard a lot about resilience. I heard, you know, just amazing stories of grit and perseverance, but also wanting to give back. So my ask for everyone watching out here is pretty simple, quite honestly, right? So support these awesome founders. That's my ask. Dedicate 1 hour per month to figuring out how you can support them and the other Latino Founders Fund recipients. And so what I mean, when I say support, I mean things like introducing them to potential capital providers. I say introducing them to potential customers, users, partners, things of that nature. Just think about how to pay it forward. I believe if we can take 1 hour a month, I think over 6 months, it'll turn into a habit for you. And eventually we'll turn into a group culture around supporting awesome entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds. So check out goodienation.org/Latino Founders Fund for the list of these awesome entrepreneurs and others. Click on the link, follow the instructions to get introduced to them. Check out their websites, their LinkedIn profiles, and go from there. So that's about it, everyone. Thanks a ton for watching. Check us out on the next episode of Prequel Origin Stories and Inflection Points coming up tomorrow. We'll see you later. Peace out.